All right, welcome everyone. My name is Laura Baca. I am one of the youth librarians at the Cedar Mill Library. I think I've seen some of you before. I am the Obob point person. I do read all the third to fifth grade books every year, and I host the programs for third to fifth graders. I am a parent. My son is in college now, but he did Obob when he was in middle school, and he really loved the different variety of books that he read that he might not have read on his own. And this year, I'm doing my first year on the title selection committee for Obob statewide for 6th to 8th graders. So of course, I'll know more about it months from now. The process is just starting. But if you're interested in nominating titles, anyone is welcome to do that. And it is open on the Obob website through the end of this month. Julie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, my name's Julie Handyside. I'm the Early Childhood Outreach Librarian for Cedar Mill Library. I've been involved with Obob programming with this library for about 8 years now, and I've been an official question writer as well as a timekeeper at the state level, the final competitions.
Perfect. All right, so we're going to let you know a little bit of everything we know about Obob, practice expectations, team meeting ideas, how to write your own questions, where to find questions, how battles work, and some other resources for you. As I said, we'll take most of the questions at the end, but if you have clarifications as we go, that's fine. You can put things in chat. We'll be able to do some of those as we go, and we'll catch everything else at the end. So let me share my screen here. All right, so as far as the history of Obob, I always feel like Obob's been with us forever and ever, but it actually hasn't. It's based on a program that started, I think in Ohio. Now that I've said that, it's probably Iowa or somewhere else. That they'd had a statewide reading program. And there are several places in Oregon, excuse me, I didn't mean to go forward there. There are several places in Oregon that had their own smaller programs, but it didn't start up as a statewide thing until the committee met for the first time in 2006. So the first year we really had a statewide Obob competition was 2007 and 8, and 9th to 12th graders weren't even added until the 2009-10 school year. Beaverton School District has always participated. In fact, I think we were one of the areas that had our own competition before there was a statewide competition. Several of our schools are very competitive. Bethany Elementary School was actually a participant at state in 2023, and they actually won the whole competition for 3rd through 5th graders in 2024. Traditionally, Bonnie Slope, Oak Hills, several other schools have made it to the state level. Obob's mission here. I'm going to read it. I will not read all my slides word for word, I promise, but I am going to read this one. Obob's mission is to encourage and recognize students who enjoy reading, to broaden reading interests, to increase reading comprehension, promote academic excellence, and to promote cooperative learning and teamwork among students. So Oregon Battle of the Books, it's an optional extracurricular program. So even if your school does Obob, that does not mean that every kid has to do Obob. Teams battle each other in a quiz show format. So it's not really book discussion or, deep analysis of a book. It is trivia. It's trivia about the little details in books. But the purpose is really to promote the joy of reading a variety of books, teamwork, good sportsmanship. That's what we really are about as well. Obob can get kind of intense and competitive, but we really just want kids to enjoy the books they're reading and have a lot of fun. So that's what we want to promote the most. Who can participate? As much as some of the second graders want to participate, it is for students in 3rd through 12th grades. You must be on a public school, private school, charter school, or public library team to participate. Some online schools qualify on their own, but they would have to be able to send a team to regionals physically in one region. So if that doesn't work for an online school or for children that are homeschooled, they're welcome to join a team in the public school, of the boundaries within which they live, like the school they would attend if they were attending public school. And schools will help form teams. So if you're, not sure how it works, your kid can check with their school. The schools will help them. They don't have to have a team on their own. So to participate, you must have a sponsor from your school. It's often the school librarian, library media specialist, but it can be any school staff member. The school, don't worry, this is the school, not the individuals, must be registered by October 31st, so that's coming up. And you must have no more than 5 members on a team. So only 4 can compete in any given battle, but you can have 5 on a team and 1 can be an alternate, and they can rotate through, but not within a battle. So within each battle, they can't rotate, but you can have up to 5. You can't compete with with fewer than 2. Um, but yeah, if you are in charge of anything at your school and they want to register, do make sure they register by the 31st. If not, I think it's a pretty big late fee if they don't. All right,
Awesome.
now Julie's going to talk so you don't have to hear me talk the whole time. I appreciate you, Julie.
You're welcome. I do see a question in the chat about 3 members, and yes, that's correct, Laura. If they have 3 members, that is you have to minimum of 2, maximum of
Yeah.
5. Correct?
Yes,
Perfect.
that's true.
All right. So what kind of practice is expected? So there's going to be lots of reading and rereading of Obob books. Audiobooks is fantastic too. You can do a combination of 2 if you've got kiddos who like to listen to audiobooks as well. Whatever works for them in their format, either one, but there'll be lots and lots of time reading or listening to those books. You're going to spend a lot of time in practice. So you're going to be practicing it as a group, and it's really important from the start that you don't do anything in practice that you can't do in a competition. So when you're asking those Obob questions, and we'll spend some time talking about the format in just a few minutes, that it's really important that you stick with that format and that they learn that specific format because it'll make competitions much easier for them. Also with questions, you're welcome to use questions that you can find. We'll talk a little bit about where you can find those for free from Cedar Mill and some other sites. You can also write your own, and we'll spend time talking about what that might look like for you and your team or the kids you're working with. I highly recommend that the kids, even the 3rd graders, spend time writing questions because it is a great way for them to learn comprehension of the books that they're working on. I also wanted to share with you one of our most common questions we were asked is that how do you divide the books up? So the most common model we hear about is that each team member will read 4 to 5 books and they are an expert of that particular book. Also, the beauty of Obob is that it's for everyone. So if you've got kiddos who may be reluctant readers and one book is what they're going to be an expert of, that is great. And that can be celebrated and their achievement for them to finish one book and become that expert, that is great too. So that, again, that's the beauty of Obob, is those kiddos who could read one book and be that expert can participate. And of course, on the other end, those kiddos who want to read all 16 books and be experts of that, they are welcome to do that as well. So again, if the kids read 1, 5, 8, or all 16 books, what they choose should be celebrated. And again, that is the beauty of Obob, is Obob is for everyone. You're going to hear us saying that a lot tonight, as well as Obob should be a lot of fun and celebrate reading. You're going to hear that message a lot from us as well. All right. So meeting ideas. So you have formed your teams, you've picked out your coach, and now it's time for your meeting. So create a team name. It is adorable, especially to see any of the teams, actually. Even some of the older high schools have team names, which is really fun. But the little guys, it's really fun to see them wearing their homemade shirts with their name, the name they chose written on them, or their signs they make walking down the hallways, letting everyone know that that's their team. There are a couple different ways to create a team name. You can just assign one as the coach. You can let the kids brainstorm ideas and vote on it, or you can put all the team names in a hat and draw one out. Those are just a couple ideas. There's lots of different ways of how you might want to go about that, but I highly recommend each team create a team name. Also, especially for the younger students, reading parts of the books out loud is a really great way for them to get to know each other and practice listening skills. So especially with the new teams, the 3rd graders, once they've started reading their books and they've all finished at least one, I highly recommend that you spend some time each of them picking out their favorite page, their favorite scene, their favorite paragraph, and they all take turns reading that out loud to one another. Again, it gives a chance for them to build trust because they're going to read out loud to one another. They're also going to be able to share just a snippet of the book that they're reading with everyone. So everyone on the team gets just a little taste of what that book is, whether they read it or not. And also, it's a great way of team building practice for them as well. Also at the library, we often have Obob teams meet at the library. So the most successful ones that I've observed have the grown-ups are sitting off to the side once they get the students going, the kids going, and then the kids have an opportunity to talk about the books on their own. They can share what they love about the book. They can share what made them sad about the book. They can share what they didn't like about the book. If they hated the book, that is okay for them to say too. That is okay. It's a great way for them to form their opinions, share their opinions, take turn listening to one another, and just have a great celebration of this book, whether they like it or not. So it is a great opportunity. Again, I highly recommend giving the kids an opportunity to talk on their own about the books with whatever they want to come up with. And sometimes the things that they say is pretty funny, as you know, especially the younger guys. Also, again, have fun. It's really up to you. The opportunities are endless. If you are really a crafty person, you can go on Pinterest and find crafts that might match a particular book, especially like the wild robot. You can have the students dress up as their favorite character at a team meeting and make it fun. Also, if you've got kids who like to do a lot of movement, you are in a space where you can do this, a dance party at the end. I've heard of teams who do dance parties at the end of their practice session or in the middle because they need to move around. Again, it's really what you can come up with that meets the needs of the teams to make it all fun. All right, so this is the question everyone always wants to know. Where can you find questions? So we have 4 sets of questions right now on the Cedar Mill Library website, and Laura's going to go ahead and show you that website and should show you a few highlights.
All right, so this is Cedar Mill Library website, and let me show you how I got to our Obob page because it can be a little bit tricky to navigate it. So from the Cedar Mill and Bethany Library homepage, which is here, if you go to info by age in the middle and pick kids, there actually is more than one way to get here. But if you scroll down, there's this big box with the Obob logo. Click there. And it's got several things. It's got, if you click on here, it's a list of the books where you can place holds on the books. We do have 4 sets of unofficial practice questions published here. We did create a Kahoot game. This goes against what Julie said about not doing things you can't do in competition, because a Kahoot, as you may have seen, you know, it's a fun online game, but it's got a question and then it's got 4 possible answers. So real Obob competitions, it's not multiple choice. The Kahoot game is just for fun. If it won't mess them up, it's a pretty fun way to go. And I'll talk about this at the end and show it again too, but we have scheduled our practice events for grades 3 to 5. They're on here. Hopefully we get a good recording tonight. This recording will go on here. We've got last year's recording of Obob 101 posted and some frequently asked questions. Also off to the side, we will talk more about some of these things. This page is mostly for 3rd to 5th, but we do have a page for 6th to 8th and 9th to 12th. There's a link to the official Obob website. There's a link to WCCLS's Obob page, the county library's Obob page, so you can get events from all kinds of different libraries. And it's got our author pronunciation guide, which is a good resource as well. So I'll let Julie get back to it while I navigate back to the slides.
All right. So also, Beaverton City Library on their website will post questions as well sometime later in the year.
Yeah, usually after their programs, yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, and we should be posting maybe 4 more, probably within a week, but we do hold a lot of our question sets back until after our programs.
Yes. So check back with Cedar Mill Library, Beaverton City Library website, and Lake Oswego Library. So they will all post questions within the next few months. So again, keep checking those sites and you'll hopefully find more questions you can use there. I will say one more thing about questions is that I did have a parent share with me that they did purchase questions online And they shared that the answers they found, some of the answers were wrong. So just be cautious if you decide to go that route. You may not always have answers that are correct if you purchase off, if you purchase, go ahead and purchase those Obob questions. Okay. So let's spend some time talking about question writing tips. I highly recommend that your students take a chance, an opportunity to write questions. It is really great opportunity for them to know how questions are formed and to learn content that way. So each question has a very specific format. So each question you'll notice will have no more than 20 words. So if you write a question and it has 21 words, you have to rewrite it until it has 20 words or less. If you write a question that has 18 words, you're great. You've written a question and you're welcome to use that one. But again, if it's 21 words, you need to rewrite that question, which can be maddening, but it can be no more than 20 words. So don't use keywords from the title. It makes the questions too easy to answer. You won't see any official Obob questions that have those keywords from titles. They also like to avoid indicating the gender of a character. It makes the question too easy for the kids to answer. And they are written in present tense. You should know that there are two types of questions. One is in which book questions, which are the easiest to write. And we'll go ahead and start with that. So here's an example at the bottom of the slide of an in which book question from an Obob title this year. It's in which book does a character love orange soda? These questions always start with in which book and then ask the question that has a specific answer from that book. You notice here the answer has the title of the book and the author. So in which book questions are always going to have those title and author combinations. So it is a great tip for your students to memorize those author and title combinations, because if they don't know exactly what the answer is, they can at least guess. If they know all those title and author combinations, they can narrow it down and make an educated guess if they know that piece of it. So that's a good tip for in which book questions. Our next type of question is content questions. And there'll be more. There we go. Thank you. So content questions, for example, they start out like this. So in twins, which twin is 1/4 shorter? So they will name the book first. So it tells you very specifically that you're looking for an answer from which book. So for example, in Before the Ever After, what is Zachariah's football number? And the answer, of course, there is 44. So content questions tell you exactly which book you're looking at. So you'll know which expert team member who's read that book will hopefully, know the answer. And then you're going to find a very specific answer from that book. Also, when you're writing questions, I highly recommend you get in the habit of writing down the answer page number. It makes your life so much easier. So when you have to go back and try to figure out where this answer came from, you have it right there. You'll save yourself so much time. So start from the beginning, writing those page numbers down for the answers. Content questions again need to be accurate. Can you go back one more slide for me, Laura? Thank you so much. You need to be accurate, use exact wording from the book. That's really helpful when you write questions. It also gives, what's pretty amazing is some students will know key phrases, like they'll learn key phrases from books and they'll be able to know exactly what that answer is. It's just amazing what they remember from these books is pretty phenomenal. Don't write how or why questions. So they have to have all questions will either have a title or author combination or a very specific answer, like a name of a character, like a name of a thing, something, a number, those types of things. So it's very concrete. Answers, again, must be concise and short. So you want to pick questions that have very simple answers to them. And also, you'll see a lot of this phrase. So what is the name of or the name of character who? And those phrases are great indicators of you're looking for a very specific name for a character. And sometimes it's their first and last name. Sometimes it'll talk about their nickname. It just depends on how the question is formed. All right, so the last question we're going to talk about is a two-part question. So this question is very rare, but it's something you should know about and something you should share with your students. So two-part questions are you always know that it's going to be a two-part question, which means there are two distinct and separate answers. it's going to say in written, in this case on our slide, it says 2 parts. Or the moderator is going to start by saying, this is a 2-part question. And this is going to signal to your team members that they're looking for 2 very distinct answers. And I'll spend some time talking about how you can identify them. So for example, let's just read this first one. It's 2 parts. And number the stars. Anna Marie puts food into the basket she is taking to Uncle Hendrik. Name 2 items. The answer for this would be any 2, cheese, apple, and bread. So again, if it's written out, you're going to look for 2 parts. And if they say cheese and apple, they get the answer correct. If they say cheese and bread, the answer is correct. If they say apple and bread, the answer is correct. If they say cheese and banana, the first half of that question is correct and the second half is incorrect. So this will make more sense in 1 minute. So the number below that is a content question of this. So the same question is written as a content question. It's from Number the Stars, which is not an Obob book this year, but this is a great example of how to learn what a 2-part question is. So in Number the Stars, name the food items Anna Marie puts into the basket she is taking to Uncle Hendrik. Now in this form, it's a content question. If they don't say cheese, apple, and bread, that question is incorrect. They must say all 3 of those things in that format in order to earn the points. All right. So now why this is important is because of scoring. And again, you're going to find all of this in your handbook. So I'll briefly go over scoring, but your handbook is going to give you all those details, or if you need to look at it again, please look at the Obob handbook. It has all of that information in there. So each question is worth 5 points. So in which book questions, which we talked about, are worth 5 points? Content questions are worth 5 points, and a 2-part question is also worth 5 points, but the scoring's a little different. So for example, in the content question, which is the second question on this slide, if they don't say eat cheese, apple, and bread, they don't receive any points. They won't receive 5 points. If they say all 3, they will receive 5 points. But with a 2-part question, if they say cheese and banana, they will receive 3 points for saying cheese, which is the first correct question, which means the team that they're playing has an opportunity to steal 2 points. So when there's a 2-part question, it's really important that both teams, no matter who's answering, is listening, because they might have an opportunity of stealing the points. So again, I went over that really quickly with that scoring. That's why you should know about 2-part questions. It's all in the handbook. All of that gives you more details there. But again, it's just something to be aware of 2-part questions.
All right, how is a battle structured? So each battle is 2 different teams battling each other. So again, a team is, even if you have 5 kids on your team, only 4 or up to 4 can participate in a battle. So you've got a team here, a team here. They take turns answering these. As you saw, can be very, very difficult. They're not going to get them all right questions. Each battle will have 8 in which book questions and 8 content questions. Within each battle, only one person is going to be the spokesperson for the team. So for example, you've got a moderator, your adult, who's asking the questions, and then you've got an adult timekeeper and an adult scorekeeper, and at the local level, at the school level, that can be the same person. So the moderator will ask a question and to one team only, and that team has 15 seconds to quietly discuss amongst themselves what they think. And then only one person from the team, the spokesperson for that battle, will give the answer. And so they need to start answering either within that 15 seconds or immediately following, the end of that 15 seconds, the spokesperson needs to start giving an answer. And this is so hard for the kids, especially the 3rd graders. They hear a question, they know the answer, they're excited, they want to blurt it out. They can't do that. They've got to whisper quietly. Only one person can answer for the team. Now, the next battle they have against another team, a different person could be a spokesperson, the alternate can rotate in, but within that battle, there's only one spokesperson for each team, and only the first answer is accepted. So if they blurt something out and they say, oh, that's not what I meant, it's too late. And as Julie said, each correct answer is worth 5 points. If it's an in which book question and they know that it's Circus Mirandus, but they can't remember the author, they're going to get 3 points. You can challenge, the team can challenge a question at the end of a battle. If they think that an answer was wrong, they can challenge the moderator on that. And the moderator can look it up in the book, but whatever they decide is final. And that is pretty rare. Practice advice goes back to Julie.
Yeah. All right. So we already talked a little bit about choosing a spokesperson. I highly recommend that each team member gets a chance in practice to be a spokesperson. And then especially with the younger ones, when you're doing a battle, pick a spokesperson who is going to be confident with the title and author names, but also comfortable speaking to a stranger. For in a battle, they might have a moderator they've never met before, so they need to be comfortable speaking out loud to an adult they've never potentially met before. And they also need to speak loud enough for that adult to hear. So again, that's especially with the younger ones for the official battles. Pick someone who's confident in order to do that. But in practice, everyone should have a turn so they can have an opportunity to do that. Just a tip, if you're working especially with those third graders, as Laura mentioned, they have such a hard time when they know the answer and they're not the spokesperson, keeping that to themselves. So one tip would be is take out the Obob question piece of it and stick to the format. So you're as a coach or as a grown-up working with them, you're going to ask the question. It could be about a movie they've all seen. It could be about school, and make sure they know who that spokesperson is. And then they're going to huddle together and they're going to have their 15 seconds to answer that question. And then they're going to practice having the spokesperson answer that. And sometimes taking that Obob piece where they're trying to figure out the answer out helps them focus on learning just you must tell the spokesperson and have the spokesperson speak for them. Again, that's for the younger teams who are having a really hard time just keeping the answers to themselves. That's just a tip. Also, I saw someone in the chat mention that the pronunciation guide is pretty cool. Yes, it is. It is called teachingbooks.net. And on this site, you're going to have some of our Obob authors talking about their last name. So they're going to actually say their name multiple times, and it's a very small audio file, maybe 30 seconds to a minute long, and they'll share like how they got their name or what their last name means or a cute story about their name. And this is where the official pronunciation comes from. Again, that's teachingbook.net. We won't look at that tonight, but it is a great resource for that. And that's, again, where the official pronunciations are derived from.
And it is linked from our Obob page. That was one of the links I showed you on the side. And I should also say, especially for the younger kids, but I think for all the kids, if they're close, if you can see how they might have gotten that pronunciation, like if an author's name is Andrea and they say Andrea, they're going to get the credit. You know what I mean? Like if you can say, yeah, you could have gotten that, that's close enough. Not every author is listed on teachingbooks.net. I actually did help put together for WCCLS some PDFs of kind of phonetic pronunciations, but I noticed that they are not yet updated on their website, so you'll have to check back on that. All right, how do teams progress to state? Again, Julie and I are more into the fun of it than the competition of it, but everyone wants to know how this really works. So kids have these battles, they participate within their schools, and each school can only send one team to regionals per grade division. So for example, a K through 8 school could potentially send 2 teams, a 3rd to 5th grade team and a 6th to 8th grade team. And I should say within those teams, I don't know if we specifically said a team could be in 3rd to 5th grade, it could be all 3rd graders, they could be all 5th graders, it could be a mix, it doesn't matter, but that division. So if you think about all the teams that might participate at one of our local elementary schools, and only one of those teams can go on to regionals, so for most kids, the competition ends at the school level, and that is okay. Let the kids know they're going to miss tons of questions. They're super hard. Most of them are not going to go to regionals. That is okay. We hope they had a great time. We hope they worked together as a team and had a good time with their team. But one team from each school, and again, like Valley Catholic, for example, is K through 12, they could potentially send a 3rd to 5th grade, a 6th to 8th grade, a 9th to 12th grade. But, per each school can send one grade level team one division, one grade division, two regionals. And then within regionals, they have what they call pool play. So there are two rounds. And within those two rounds, each team will battle 4 times. And that kind of sorts them out and ranks them. And then it moves into kind of a bracket. So Sweet 16, Awesome 8, it's almost like a basketball tournament. And then it's just like single knockout until they're down to the final battle, the final two teams. Um, and Julie mentioned stealing. So stealing doesn't happen during pool play at regionals or state. So stealing is if a team misses a question or part of a question, the other team would get to try to steal those remaining points. I think most schools are not going to do that at the school level for 3rd to 8th grade. And when you get to regionals and state in the pool play, there's no stealing. It's not until you get to the bracket that there's stealing. So that's not even going to come up for a lot of kids. It used to be all the time at all levels, and they've kind of tapered off on that. But if you have a high schooler, stealing is in effect from the very beginning. Let's see, regionals this year will be March 1st through 22nd. So schools will get their battle questions by early January. They'll have their school battles by the end of February, regionals in March, and then the top teams from regionals will go on to the state tournament. And that can be more than one team per region. It depends on how many regions there are and how many schools, and it's complicated, and how many volunteers they have to run regionals, because almost everyone who works on Obob is a volunteer. So yes, the state tournament will be in Salem at Chemeketa Community College on April 12th. And the top teams will go there. All right, Julie, you want to talk about defining success?
Yes. All right. So it's really important to talk with your team before their first battle. So, what if you don't win? Like, what are expectations? Talk about what success looks like for each of your teams. Did they make some new friends? Did they find a new author they love? Did they read some really great books? Do they work together as a team? Especially talk about what good sportsmanship looks like. And maybe with the younger ones, you could even practice what that might look like too. What was really fun is to see at all different levels at the competitions where no matter what happens at the end, both teams come together and shake their hands. It's really fun to see that piece of it. Also, they're also really respectful of each other. So it's really important to work with your kiddos, set those expectations at the beginning. Hal's Books used to have an Obob event every year, and they would invite older students who participated as younger elementary kids to share about their experiences. And one year they invited who's a young woman now. And they invited her, and she shared this story where she talked about the biggest misconception or message students hear is that they must get every question correct. Like, she really wished an adult would have told her as a 3rd grader that it is okay to get one of the Obob questions wrong. And Obob is such a safe space to get questions wrong. Everyone is going to fail at that. No one's going to get all the questions right. So I really highly recommend talking with your teams from the beginning that it is okay to go get a question wrong, and make sure that misconception doesn't stick with that student as they get older. They'll do so much better in all kinds of different things.
Oh yeah, I read all the books. There's no way I could answer all the questions. Absolutely not.
All right.
Oop, I went the wrong way. Here we go. All right, there are several great resources for you. One is the Obob website itself. It's listed here. If you just Google Obob, O-B-O-B, it's the first result. They've got, like right now, they've got the nominations open. They've always got the books listed. They've got books listed from past years. They've got the handbook that Julie referenced under resources. Right now, it's last year's handbook. Sometime in November, they will finish the handbook. I don't expect a lot of major changes this year. But you can find everything you could possibly want to know and more about Obob. And other great websites, as I mentioned, Washington County's Obob page will show several different resources, like there's a title and author matching sheet. There will be pronunciation guides. They are incomplete at this point, last time I looked. And it shows every event all around the county. So not just Cedar Mills events like you'll find on our webpage, but everything that's available throughout the county. I also want to talk about Roundabout Books. They are an independent bookstore in Bend, and this is their third year offering these fantastic author presentations. So they are free. You can register online, or if you miss them, and I think they may have already started for this year, you can go to their YouTube page and see past presentations. They're really, really great. Finding Obob books. So where can your kids find the books? The books are all announced by May. So if like by May we knew what the books were going to be. Your school library will have books for you to check out. Public library, I swear we have books, even if you've been in and seen the empty Obob shelves. For 3rd to 5th grade, I buy 30 copies of each title for Cedar Mill and 30 copies of each title for Bethany. They are out there. A few of them are non-holdable. The holds lists are pretty short right now, except Wild Robot. That has a lot of holds with the movie and everything coming out as well. We also have audiobooks in every format that we can buy. Not every book is available on Playway or CD, for those of you that still have CD players. But if it is available in that format, we buy it. Most of them are available as ebooks or audiobooks that you can check out through Libby or Overdrive with your library card. We do have some non-holdable Kindles that have most of the titles on them. Not everything is always available in that basic Kindle format. The Cedar Mill Library has DVDs of some past state battles, but the finals of last year's state battles are also online. So it is listed on our webpage. I think it's under the frequently asked questions, like where can I see a battle? And it is, but it's publicly available online through Chemeketa Community College's website as well. So if you want to see examples of kids battling, that is available. What else? Programs. So the programs that we have scheduled so far, well, it's all the programs that we're going to have this year. For 3rd to 5th graders, I'm doing something slightly different from the last couple of years, but it's a format that they have used at Hillsborough because we all talk to each other. All librarians know each other. And what I'm going to do for 3rd to 5th graders is a battle royale. So it's like a battle, but we don't have enough staff to have, a battle for each 8 kids. They're going to score themselves. So we're going to read at least 3 sets of questions. It'll be an hour long. They will score themselves. We'll explain scoring. They'll get to practice all of that. They'll get to answer a ton of questions. It's going to be very fun. We're going to run it twice on Friday, January 3rd at Cedar Mill and twice on Saturday, January 4th in the Bethany Annex. They're pretty popular. I encourage you to choose one. The questions will likely be the same at each program, so it won't really benefit your kids to go more than once. And as soon as all the programs are done, we will get all those questions up on our website for anyone to see and use as quickly as we can. And we have trivia for 6th to 8th graders on Monday, December 9th. And it runs twice. It's hybrid. So it's at the Bethany Library Annex, but it is also online. So kids can participate at the Annex or at home on their own. Other libraries have programs as well. Beaverton and Hillsborough, I believe, both have book clubs, and they will both run some kind of trivia or battle programs around the same time as us, probably January. And ours are at the very end of winter break for schools. And that is basically it. So I am going to stop recording here.
And I have a list of questions that I know I've seen in the chat, so we'll just go through those first. And if I didn't see your question,